Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, June 27th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions, then this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple clarifications. First off, this price you see over here will still be changing around, and then the candlestick right there will be moving. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then next, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So for beginners, what that means is each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, ticker symbol BNTC, and big move here. But as I speak, and again, this is why I like to do this when the market's still open, you can see that right now, pretty rough final part of the day as the price has pulled back. But within the pullback, all that's really done is given the price a break. It's shown the price essentially taking a breath. And what's nice about that is if you're someone that's always kind of paranoid, wondering, I don't know, am I the sucker that's buying the top? Am I chasing the price? Am I suffering from FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Well, no, you don't have to worry about that anymore because the people that were suffering from FOMO, they bought right there. Now, that doesn't mean that it'll for sure guaranteed be a winning trade. I'm just trying to convey the fact that at least you can eliminate that worry from your mind of, am I being the sucker that's buying the top? You're not, because you have the pullback here. So within that pullback, though, that is where we have that resistance trend line right there. And then within all that, we also have this area down here, which who knows, as I speak, is this line going to get tested here? But let me change that to green to represent more so the support dynamic. And then just from an overarching patterns point of view, to make it one color to maybe make it easier to see, we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big momentum move right here, and we'll put our golf hole down here to make it a little bit more visual. This would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play bull pennants, if you like to play this price range down below $5, then certainly keep an eye on this one next week. Next, TBLT, and I like this one because there's some very well-defined levels. So the first defined level that I think a lot of people will be watching, which is always important because when you know that a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can certainly produce some good dynamic price movements. So there are no such things as a guarantee in the market. But my point here is that, is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price can consolidate out and then come up to that level and get a break up through there, that break could create additional buying pressure? Absolutely. So definitely keep an eye on that 320 mark. Now, even if the price does break 320, you also want to keep a very close eye on that pink line there, which on my charts, you know, it's a very famous 200 period moving average, as that could potentially be another resistance area. But also, you know, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself before you put too much focus on, the 200 period moving average. Let's first just see if the price can even get up above that 320 mark. As far as areas of support are concerned, key level right down there at 265. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated behind that other than the logic of, okay, where did this bleeding finally stop? Because there was quite a bit of selling that showed up here all the way down there. So yeah, where did that finally stop? Well, we have our answer right there. Now, does that mean that it'll for sure bounce again? Of course not. No guarantees. But is it valid? Is it plausible to think that it could bounce again from that area? Yeah, absolutely. So definitely keep an eye on that from the support side of things. And if you like to play more so pullbacks. Next one, EVFM. And like the other ones, this one has now pulled back here some. But once again, at least we can alleviate the worry of, am I the sucker that's buying the top? That is no longer a concern. But I want to just reiterate, maybe one final time, but no promises there. There are no guarantees. So just because the price comes down doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to still have a winning trade, but at least you know that you're not buying the top. So if this pullback does continue, then first key level to watch, closely going to be right there at that 37-cent mark. If it breaks down even through there, then you have a very interesting area down here where this pink line, again, the 200 period moving average, that purple line, the 50 period moving average are essentially converging and one and the same and both valued at 34 cents. So it's really just depending on, how deep of a pullback are you looking for? If you think that level right there is going to be deep enough, or you're saying, no, Clay, I don't think that's deep enough. I think the true pullback needs to come down to those moving averages. Well, then you have a couple different choices from that angle. But let's say maybe you don't play pullbacks. You're looking to play breakouts. Well, a key breakout level that I think a lot of people will be watching is that trend line right there. But again, from an overarching pattern perspective, we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the momentum move right there. And by putting our golf hole down here, we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. Next, XELA, and I've done this one a couple times before, but it's been a couple days and want to just get things updated because I know it's still a relatively popular stock, but really very unimpressive right now. And the problem is more so, it seems though nobody cares. I mean, people definitely cared back on the 22nd as volume increased quite a bit. But after that, you can see volume has just dropped off a cliff. Now, that does not mean that this thing can't recover, all of a sudden come back to life. I'm not saying that because, again, there are no guarantees. So that doesn't mean that, Monday maybe volume explodes back and everybody gets interested. But at this point, it's very clear that nobody is really interested anymore. And you can see that again via that volume and the fact that the price just continues to drift lower and lower. And what stands out to me in the levels, at least in my opinion, that matter headed into next week is right there at 15 cents. And 15 cents is important because if that level does not hold, then I don't think it would shock anybody to see the price then go down there and close the gap down around that 14-cent mark, which was essentially put the price right back to where it was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make huge moves up and then all of a sudden go right back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power. Once again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but that is why that 15-cent mark, and especially if it goes down to 14 cents, is such an interesting and such an important dynamic. Next, PLTR. Did this one a couple days ago when I drew in that pattern back here, and you can see that the price got the break through that pattern right there. Nice move up, came back. back tested the pattern beautifully, and then had a very, very nice day today. Just a slow grind and is actually back up into double digits above $10. So going to go ahead and get rid of these lines as they serve their purpose for now, and we'll zoom into some of the more newest and more relevant areas. So one of the new levels of support and what I would call the ideal level, when you say, Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute best moving forward? And that would be if the price can stay above $9.80. Now, don't get me wrong. If the price drops below $9.80, I'm not saying that implies the entire chart's destroyed. I'm just saying that would certainly make the chart look the strongest and healthiest. But from an overarching standpoint, and what matters the most, again, from an overarching viewpoint, is all about that purple line, which I mentioned earlier, the 50-period moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line's going to move itself higher and higher. So moral of the story there is that from an overarching standpoint, as long as the price stays above that line where the line itself is moving higher and higher, well, that's going to require the price to get higher and higher, which implies that the price itself is remaining in an uptrend. So again, from an overarching standpoint, that purple line there is by far what matters most. And then as far as next potential areas of resistance, as you see here, we are having to go back way into the chart's history because it's been a long time since the price has been up around this area, which is always a good problem to have because it just shows that it's been quite a while. So with the next key level of resistance now being up there right around $10.40. But overall, very nice week and a very nice way to close out the week on this one. Real quick, I wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it should be used to help make good decisions and build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for this free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more, certainly get signed up for the free training. Next, NIO, and this will mean more to those of you that have been watching the watch list videos all week, but I've talked about that red line over and over again as being that key area of resistance and how, if it was broken, then you got to think that that would create and probably lead to some good upside pressure. And this morning, you can see got a slight gap up above that breakout area, and the price has made over $1 move, which on this one is a pretty significant move because it's not like NIO is super fast moving. So $1 move in one day, again, it's not a monster, but it is certainly a very respectable move. So in other words, the breakout has finally happened. $23.10 has now been put behind the price, and that just brings about the foundational rule in charting. When levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So if there are any sort of pullbacks, 23.10 is going to be that important level to keep a close eye on. As far as areas of resistance now, in fact, we may need to change time frames because it's been so long since the price. No, I can't tell. Did it get above that area or no? Oh, wow. Price is even broken above these highs from way back here. And so it becomes that much more impressive. All right. So next area of resistance, let me change that to red for resistance, is going to be up here at, let's see, what is that? $25.35. So $25.35, next key area of resistance. But yeah, that really goes to show how powerful that break was because it even led to a break of these highs over here. But overall, a great way to end the week here for NIO. Next, TSLA Tesla. And this will mean, again, a bit more to those that watch previous watchlist videos. But for those of you that watched the one from yesterday, talked about these areas of resistance here, which illustrates just how great of a day it was for Tesla. Broke above that trend line, then came up there in the opening 30 minutes, broke above that level, and then made a continued move, and then just consolidated very nicely. So almost like an NIO type situation where the price went sideways quite a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines as they serve their purpose now. But the level here that I think everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching moving forward, right up there at $740 as that next key breakout point. You can see that's where the price was rejected from, couple days ago there. And then, yeah, I get it. The price never hit it exactly, but you can tell that the price is just hovering right below this key level. And then you put in the fact that you have this very nice pattern here, which I'm just going to draw roughly here. And then once again, let's keep it visual, put the golf hole down here. So we have a bull pennant pattern forming right below a very obvious area of resistance. So as far as a potential self-fulfilling prophecy type breakout, everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching $740. So let's see if the bulls can get the breakout of that next week. Next, BOXD, and a very nice recovery today. Things were looking a bit sketchy after Thursday's price movement as the price dropped all the way down there. But you can see now essentially a V-shaped recovery. Still has some work to do, but overall looking a whole lot better, which as far as this V-shaped recovery, in my mind, this is kind of the final piece of the puzzle right there at $2.50. If the price can break through there, again, no guarantees. But in my mind, it becomes a plausible thought to then say, okay, the V-shaped recovery is complete, and this thing's just going to build that much more momentum, what a mouthful, to the upside. So again, no guarantees, but in my mind, 250 stands out as a very key level. You can see that was resistance from back there on Thursday, and then today, once again, Friday afternoon, price struggled up around that area. But if the price can get a break up through there, then it's very rational in my mind to think that that could generate that much more buying pressure and potentially send the price up here to, at minimum, that pink line, which is, again, that 200 period moving average currently valued up there around the 277 mark. As far as areas of support, continue to watch that purple line there, which you now know is a 50 period moving average. You can see it did a great job down there of holding that support. So if this continues on in the upwards direction, that's what you want to see, just higher bases. And as long as the price stays above that purple line, then by default, the price is putting in those higher bases. Next, BHAT, and a very disappointing day on this one. Now, a lot of other stocks got those breakouts, and the breakouts got great continuation, but it just goes to show, if anything, how there are no guarantees and how there's no perfect situation. Because this one, it got the breakout. Problem is, there was no continuation, there was no follow-through, and it was a false breakout. It did temporarily get a breakout, spiked up there, and then completely rolled back over. Now, let's take a step back and look at everything from the big picture point of view. Was today rough? Absolutely. But does a single day destroy an entire chart? I mean, in theory, it could, but it didn't happen in this situation, because what we really just have from a big picture point of view, and I'm trying to emphasize big picture because I do understand if you're a day trader and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well then yes, from that perspective, the chart looks terrible. But taking a step back and looking at multiple days, all we essentially have is we have an area of support right here. We have this level of resistance right here. We still do have a big momentum move like that. And there's just a big picture of bull flag pattern. So it is still a bullish pattern, again, from an overall standpoint. Doesn't feel bullish if you bought up there, but that's why I'm trying to differentiate the two between perspectives. So yeah, big pullback today, a false breakout, but you still have an overall bull flag pattern. So it'll just be a question of, can the bulls recover off that area of support and then get up? So that's question number one. Can this bottom part of the pattern hold? And then question number two becomes, can the price push up through there and potentially get a good bull flag breakout? Next one here, REV, and the first part here, which is interesting, is I got to extend this level out, which I talked about previously, is you can see that late day, the price got a breakout of that trend line, which I drew a couple days ago in the watch list videos, and then started to move. But now what makes this very, very tricky is the fact that, check out the last 30 minutes. It was breaking out, looking great, and then the last 30 minutes, just a dump to the downside. Now, does that mean that the entire chart's destroyed? No, but does it mean that it kind of spoils that breakout and makes it a little wishy-washy? Absolutely. But at the core, and this is why watch lists exist, is this dynamic? Is this very intriguing movement here? Absolutely. And that's why you want to have a watch list, to find interesting situations, to find unique situations, and not just randomly buy, but to, well, watch them and see if they eventually do develop in a way that fits your personal risk tolerance strategy. So yes, definitely kind of a confusing situation because you got the breakout and then you got the failure during the last 30 minutes. But within all of this, it does and has created a very unique situation where, in my mind, still very interesting to watch that purple line there, 50 period moving average as support. And then also to watch what apparently is a new level of resistance, kind of came up out of nowhere, but this area right here at $8.80. So keep an eye on that. If the price can recover back upwards, I'll go ahead and get rid of that line as it served its purpose for now. But yeah, kind of a confusing chart, but within the confusion, there is some uniqueness, and that's what you want to have on a watch list. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, like I said, if you enjoyed what you saw and want to learn more about this tool, how it should be used to build consistency, then definitely get signed up for this free training next week. Like I said, it'll be Thursday, June 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort required to get this content out to you, then please help me out with some basic feedback by doing two things. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching next week. But those two things communicate to me that you were enjoying, and as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to do these videos. So again, get signed up for the free training next week, hit that like button, leave a simple comment. Everybody take care, have a good one, and have a great weekend.